hard. He believes in hard-nosed defense, and I think when you look at the stats, his team is fourth in blocks. They're first in steals, so they really get after the basketball. So I look forward to a great matchup tonight.
You know, you look at their records coming in, and Texas Southern at 3-1, having just lost to Jackson State. You've got Grambling State 2-3 in the conference, but they've won those last two games in back-to-back. Is this a Grambling squad that's buying into the game plan now of Dante Jackson?
Right. He said the only game that he was real disappointed in was against Alabama A&M, where his team really just didn't play well. Other than that, they've been in the ball games that they've played, and he likes the way that they're coming together, and particularly with Ivory Smith's leadership.
Brian Carey launching an air ball, the 5'10", 160-pound sophomore from Denver, Colorado, but there was a foul committed underneath. And that foul has got Kanan McClellan.
And this is probably his first start. He's shooting 69%. If you look at the stats, I think Mike Davis has shaken his lineup up. This is not his normal starting lineup. And the other thing we have to bring out, too, Mike is missing three of his players. He's got three kids that are injured that are not here, that didn't make that trip to Jackson. And so he feels pretty good that now one of them he won't get back, but he feels that he'll get the other two back. Kevin Scott's out for the year. But when he gets the other two back, he thinks that he'll be in the mix.
Fade away from Gaston won't fall.
And here comes the jitterbug, Jefferson. He can get it done against anybody.
Dante Clark off the glass, and it won't drop in.
Clark is one of the transfers that he's a graduate transfer, and right now he's averaging about 14 points a game. Mike thinks he's a 20-point scorer, so he's waiting on him to pick his game up because he feels that he got three kids that he thinks can get him 60 points. And between Dante Clark and Jefferson, he thinks that those two guys alone can almost get that 60 point, and then he wants Bruce to step up a little bit more and give him some more production.
You know, it's interesting, where the world of basketball is concerned, we think about the height just automatically, but when you look at today, in the ladies' game, it was a 5'7" and a 5'5" that were the highlight players, and here in this matchup, you got a 5'7" and a 6-footer.
Right, the guards are the ones, that's a cheap one on Jefferson. He can't do that. Now, another thing, fouls. Mike Davis does not believe in fouls. In the game the other night, I waited half of the night waiting on the box score, and once I got it, I realized why it was so late. It was over 60 fouls called in that game.
Wow.
I mean, those teams shot 60-something free throws between the two of them, and that's in for a long night. So he doesn't believe in fouling. He'd rather for the kid to let him go.
Rims out for Gaston.
Good block. And that's what Reed has to do. The coach wants Reed, Teron Reed, who's a 7-footer in there, 7'2". He's got to be more of a force as you watch his timing on this block. That's a pretty good block for a big guy.
I'm going to tell you somebody else that doesn't believe in a lot of fouls in a long night. I think that's a couple of broadcasters who say, hey, can you wrap this thing up in a respectable 40?
Yeah, especially with the way this weather's getting. You know, they've already canceled school here tomorrow. So the weather's supposed to be pretty bad. So, we need to get this one over and get out of here.
Carey going to the other end of the floor. And what we're talking about is rain initially, and then temperatures dropping and snow expected here in Grambling early in the morning.
Right, and I've got an early flight out of Shreveport, so I hope I can get out.
You may need a snow plow or a reindeer. I don't know which would get you there.
Yeah, they got that foul on Carey with a legal screen.
Over goes to Ivy Smith. Smith will send it to the timeline and then back out front to Gaston.
Now, when you look at Texas Southern, they're playing two guards they started tonight, two guards under 6 foot. Jefferson's at 5'7", and they listed Carey at 5'10", but I think that's a stretch.
5'7" may be a stretch for this guy, but he plays with reckless abandon for two. Trey Jefferson.
Well, he's a tremendous scorer. He does not mind getting in that, going to the hole, and then you wait until he starts shooting these threes. I think we already mentioned he's leading the SWAC in scoring at 24 a game.
Listed as a native of Milwaukee, Wisconsin, but when you look at his previous school, Arlington Country Day, that is a renowned basketball school in Florida.
Right. One of my former players told me about this guy 3 years ago. Told him, I said, Coach, there's a great kid up here that can play, but he's being overlooked because he's little. And then when I looked up, he was at Texas Southern. That's what Mike Davis believes in. People that can play. He does not care about size.
Now, does somebody like a Trey Jefferson at 5'7" have the capabilities of playing at the next level, at least in some part of the world?
Yes, he can, because this kid can put the ball in the basket, and that's the name of the game. Now, he missed one game this year because he got in a scuffle against Southern in the last 30 seconds of the game. He was put out of that game, which forced him to miss the next basketball game. But Texas Southern won that game without him, so, he stepped out then on his move. His little stutter step.
Yeah.
You saw his stutter step? Yeah, but he was going to try to dance to the basket, but watch the stutter step coming up. Whoop, the hop, but he went out of bounds. Great move. The fans, that got the fans involved in it with the move. But it's a turnover. And talking to Mike Davis yesterday, he thinks his team will come around. He says, we still have not played our best game. But I think he's got to like what I see so far, and that's Reed on the glass, because even though he's averaging 9 rebounds a game, Mike thinks that should be up to around 15. And I do too, because of his agility, and he's got excellent timing, so he should be around 15 rebounds a game.
Now, they play a very difficult non-conference schedule, albeit, I'll give them that. But are you surprised that they went through that non-conference schedule without a win this year?
Well, no, because of how tough it was, I didn't see him winning those games. And then plus, with them having so many new people this year, now I'm going to be honest now, they were in a lot of those games. About 4 of those games he feels like they should have won, but something happened. Plenty of crazy things happen on the road, especially when you're playing a money game. But he won't say it, but I'll say it on a couple of games that I watched. There's some questionable calls down the stretch that prevented them from coming out on top. But Mike plays the demanding schedule because he wants his kids to see it all in the beginning. That I was a great alley-oop.
Reed jamming it in.
Dante Clark, and look at Reed. Now Reed he may not have touched that one, but he made him think about it.
Well, you talk about signature wins outside of the conference. What about the Grambling victory over Georgia Tech?
That was an outstanding win.
Dropped in by Thomas.
But the crowd is getting into it. Grambling scored their first. Whoa, that's offensive foul. Can't do that. Mike is telling, okay.
Well, you got to see James.
Watch the penetration. He sees him.